This 1935 snapshot shows a youngster with a violin standing on the sidewalk in front of a building with closed shutters, clutching his instrument and bow. Next to him, a man plays an accordion while three youngsters watch in the background. The image captures the ambiance of street music and cultural expression, while also conveying nostalgia and historical relevance. In this 1934 Paris photograph, an evening street scene shrouded in fog is captured. Two people stand under a coiffure shop sign. The fog and lighting create a dramatic effect, highlighting the figures against the mystical backdrop. This image evokes nostalgia and conveys the atmosphere of Parisian life, enhanced by the foggy evening. This black and white photo captures three people manually laying cobblestones, likely in an old or timeless style. Bent over their task, they arrange stones to create a patterned surface, possibly a street or pathway. The image highlights traditional craftsmanship and labor-intensive construction, offering a glimpse into the physical work behind creating infrastructure. This black and white photo shows a man reading something in his hands. Behind him is a large poster with the words "Moi, je préfère le gaz" and 1935. The poster features a smiling figure in a striped shirt, raising their right hand as if presenting something. This snapshot captures a moment from the past, offering a glimpse into the advertising style and street scenes of that era. This black and white photo captures a rainy day at Notre Dame Cathedral in 1938. The wet pavement leads the eye to the iconic cathedral in the background, partially obscured by mist. Bare trees and classic lampposts frame the scene, while people with umbrellas walk on the sidewalk, adding to the calm yet lively atmosphere. This black and white photograph from 1935 captures an elderly woman selling crabs. She stands next to wooden crates filled with crabs. This snapshot offers a glimpse into the daily life of the past, showcasing the livelihood and practices of that era. This black and white snapshot from 1934 shows several old women sitting together. Their attire and way of life reflect the early 20th century. This photograph is noteworthy since it depicts a scene from nearly a century ago, providing insight into the clothes and social gatherings of the time. This black and white photograph from 1934 depicts electricians standing in front of an ancient automobile labeled CPDE. Their job clothing reflect their profession. This snapshot depicts a historical moment, providing insight into daily work life as well as the industrial or technological condition of the time. This black and white snapshot from 1938 captures a moment in which a group of soldiers march in formation. Their long shadows on the ground produce an amazing pattern on the paved surface they're walking on. This photograph depicts the visual interaction of the marchers and their shadows. This 1935 black and white snapshot depicts an above perspective of a street scene with a cylindrical advertising kiosk known as a Morris column, which has visible posters. There are 4 people present, one walking away, another approaching, and 2 at a distance. Dashed lines on the ground represent pedestrian paths, while shadows suggest sunny weather, providing a glimpse into historical urban life. This 1936 black and white photograph depicts a cart lying against a tree in the park. The bare trees in the distance form vertical lines, while the ground is covered with fallen leaves with distant benches. The contrast between rough bark and smooth wagon surface is striking, while branch reflections in a puddle provide dimension. This black and white snapshot from 1935 depicts a man seated at a cafe table, reading a newspaper, his face obscured behind it. On the table, there's a small plate with a partially eaten food and a used espresso cup. A big ornate cylindrical furnace or heater sits to the left of the man, adding to the scene's historical feel. This 1936 black and white snapshot captures a crowded street scene from above, with a metro entrance labeled Metro. People are entering and exiting the subway, while others stand or walk past. The crowd is densest at the entry, and shadows indicate a sunny day, depicting urban life and transportation at the period. This 1934 black and white snapshot depicts an interior repair situation with 2 persons, one on a ladder and the other at its base. Large windows in the background reveal a structure reminiscent of the Eiffel Tower. The contrast between the restoration work and the renowned landmark creates a distinct blend of labor and beauty. This 1935 photograph depicts a narrow street in the Jewish quarter of Paris. Two people in long coats and hats walk away from the camera. The old-fashioned buildings with many windows and shutters reflect early 20th century European design. The wet street and vintage car suggest recent rain in the 1935 period. This 1937 photograph shows one of Paris's famous boulevards, the Grands Boulevards. This wide boulevard was one of the newest and fashionable areas. The image features numerous people, vintage cars, and leafless trees, indicating autumn or winter. The buildings along the boulevard are typical Parisian stone structures with mansard roofs and evenly spaced windows. This 1937 black and white snapshot shows a nighttime cityscape with a highly lit kiosk labeled Cinzano, most likely promoting Cinzano vermouth. Behind it, buildings with illuminated windows and a distant hazy neon sign can be seen. To the left, a massive, unreadable billboard and surrounding trees add to the dark atmosphere. This 1935 snapshot depicts a person using an old-fashioned film camera on a tripod. The person holds the camera's handle and is focused on their task. Bare tree branches in the background indicate a colder season or minimal vegetation. The image depicts a period in cinematic history, demonstrating 1935 cinematography technique. This black and white photograph from 1937 shows a small boy leaning against a wall. He stands with one leg crossed over the other, and a small drum lies beside him. The background suggests an urban setting, possibly an alley or narrow street with cobblestones and a wall with peeling or faded paint. This snapshot from 1937 illustrates a scene in Antwerp's Jewish neighborhood. Three children stand at the entryway to a structure with open doors that expose an inside stairway. A window to the left of the entry displays items, implying that the structure is a shop or company. This 1936 black and white photograph captures a flea market scene. In the foreground, a man in a striped suit stands with his hands in his pockets. To his left, two people sit by a car with an open hood. Behind them is another vintage car. On the right, an open suitcase on the ground displays papers or photographs for sale. This 1935 black and white photograph shows a girl holding a bouquet in one hand and a small child in the other. They stand against a wall next to a large basket of flowers, likely for sale. The girl's serious expression and modest clothing reflect the simplicity and economic hardships of that time.